I've never told anyone this before, not my sister, not my therapist, not even the guy I spent 6 months thinking might be the one, because if I said it out loud, it would become real again, and I can't go back there. But the dreams haven't stopped, and lately I swear I can hear the humming again. This happened 3 years ago. I had just moved into an old apartment building after a breakup that left me raw and hollow. You know that kind of heartbreak that makes you want to disappear? That was me. So when I found apartment 3B, it felt like a quiet place to fall apart. The rent was suspiciously cheap, but I didn't ask questions. I should have. The building was old, probably 1970s. Everything smelled faintly of mildew and rust. The walls were a sickly beige color, and the carpet in the hallway looked like it hadn't been vacuumed since the Clinton administration. But it was quiet. There was only one other apartment on the floor, 3A. The door was directly across from mine. Dark wood, brass numbers, dead silent. When I signed the lease, the landlord, Mr. Goldstein, handed me the key, but he hesitated. "No one's in 3A," he said, "just you up here." I gave him a polite nod, not thinking anything of it, but he didn't leave. He leaned in a little closer and said, quieter this time, "It's better that way." I should have listened. Night 1, I had barely unpacked. Boxes still lined the hallway. I collapsed into bed around midnight, too exhausted to care that I hadn't eaten all day. Around 1:30 a.m., I woke to 3 short knocks. Not loud, just deliberate. I froze. They came again. 3 knocks, then silence. I dragged myself to the door and looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty. Apartment 3A was still. Door shut. My first thought was, maybe I imagined it. My second, maybe some kid playing a prank. Either way, I went back to bed, but I didn't sleep. Night 3. I heard humming, very faint, like someone was singing a lullaby they only half remembered. It was soft, drifting through the thin walls, high-pitched, female. I pressed my ear against the wall separating me from 3A. The melody got clearer, still no lyrics, just a gentle hum, over and over. I considered knocking on 3A's door the next morning to ask, maybe even complain. What the landlord said, no one's in 3A. I started keeping a notepad by my bed to log when I heard it. I didn't know why. I guess I was trying to prove to myself that I wasn't going crazy. Day 5, Mr. Goldstein was outside sweeping the stairs. I asked him casually, "Hey, you sure 3A's empty?" He didn't answer right away, just kept sweeping. When he finally looked up, he said, "No one's rented it since she left." I blinked. "She?" He seemed to regret saying it, shook his head and walked away muttering something about leaky pipes. That night the humming stopped, but I swear, I heard breathing instead. Night 6. I was in bed when I heard a sound like furniture scraping across the floor. A dragging sound followed by a sudden sharp knock, not on my door, but on the wall behind my headboard. I sat bolt upright, heart pounding. The room was completely still. Then something whispered, so close I felt the vibration through the wall. A woman's voice, one word, "Come." I sat there frozen for almost an hour, until the sun started to rise, and I never found the courage to check the hallway. Day 7. I downloaded an audio recording app on my phone and let it run overnight. I told myself it was to catch the noise, rationalize it. Maybe there was a logical explanation. When I played the recording back the next morning, I had to pause it halfway through. Around 2:13 a.m., there was the humming, then slow, rhythmic footsteps. But what chilled me was the sound of breathing. Not soft human breaths. These were wet, ragged, almost bubbling. Then came something impossible. My voice, on the recording, saying, "I'm already here." I hadn't said that. Not out loud. Not in my sleep. I didn't even remember dreaming. Day 9. My sister, Kayla, came to visit. I didn't want to tell her everything, but I think she saw it in my eyes, how tired I looked, how skittish I had become. The moment she stepped into the hallway, she wrinkled her nose. "Do you smell that?" I nodded. It was new. A sickly sweet smell like perfume left in the sun too long. It lingered strongest around 3A. She spent the night on the couch. Around midnight, she sat up suddenly and whispered, "Are you pacing?" I shook my head. We listened. Footsteps, soft, slow, coming from inside 3A. Then a creak, like someone sitting down. Day 11. The dreams began to change. I kept dreaming about the hallway. But in the dream, 3A's door was open, and behind it wasn't a room but a long, endless corridor, shadowed, unlit. In every dream I stepped inside, one step further each night. In real life the door remained shut, but something was different. The door looked wrong. The wood grain moved when I stared too long. The brass numbers occasionally flipped upside down when I blinked. I know how that sounds, but I swear I'm telling you the truth. Day 13. Kayla left. She said she had a pounding migraine, but really I think she was scared. She kept looking at 3A like she was expecting it to open. That night, I sat in the hallway. Just sat. I stared at the door across from me. I don't remember deciding to, I just felt pulled to it. At one point, the knob turned. Not all the way, just enough to make a soft click. I got up, walked to the door, put my hand on it. It was warm, too warm, like skin after a fever. I didn't open it. Day 15. I couldn't recognize myself in the mirror anymore. My eyes were sunken. My skin looked gray, like it didn't belong to me. Words started escaping me. I'd forget what I was doing mid-sentence. Time didn't move right. Days passed too fast, or not at all. And the humming? It never stopped. Not anymore. Day 17. I finally gave in. I knocked on 3A's door. 3 knocks. My hand trembled. I stood there, waiting, hoping nothing would happen. Instead, humming, loud. So loud I felt it in my bones. Then, silence. I turned to leave, but something was behind me. I didn't see it, only felt it. A presence. I locked my door, curled up in the bathtub, slept in my clothes, with the lights on. Day 19. Kayla came back. She barely recognized me. She gasped when I opened the door. She begged me to leave. "This place isn't right," she said. "You're not right," she cried. Said my voice had changed, that I wasn't blinking enough. She told me the hallway felt like it was watching her. We made plans to pack everything and leave the next morning. But that night, I woke up to the sound of a door opening. 3A. I found her inside. She was standing in the middle of 3A, completely still, eyes locked on a crack in the wall. Her lips were moving but no sound came out. The room was empty, dead gray, crumbling drywall. It looked like it hadn't been lived in for decades. And yet, there was Kayla, whispering to the corner. I touched her shoulder. She turned slowly and whispered something that still wakes me up in cold sweats. "She's in the walls." We left within the hour. We never spoke about it again. 1 month later, Mr. Goldstein called. His voice was shaking. He said, "Someone broke into 3A, but that's not possible. It was sealed." When they opened the door, the room was covered in handprints, not just on the walls, on the floor, on the ceiling. Tiny hands, hundreds, carved into the paint. Over and over was one phrase: "I never left." I don't know who she was. I don't know what I heard or why I saw myself in those dreams. But sometimes, in moments of silence too deep for comfort, I hear the humming again, like it's waiting, calling. And on the worst nights, I still dream of the hallway, and I take one step further. Did I ever really leave, or did she just let me go?